Not at all. Looking forward to it, Holly. Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast. This is the Shankly Sessions, our first match reaction of the new season. Not quite what we wanted, but kind of what we expected. I think in the preview, I predicted a 1-1 draw as well, and I thought that the midfield and the moving of players out of position and into uncomfortable positions would be not the right recipe for us, but basically we had no choice because we haven't brought anyone in. But joining me for this match reaction, of course, we're more familiar now with each other on the screen as it goes on and on. Jack from Anfield Road TV. Jack, how are you, my friend?
Thank you very much for having me, mate. Yeah, obviously you haven't checked out me and Niall and Kev just done a video then on my channel, so really appreciate you hopping on, mate. So, of course, I'd love to pop on, mate, but a lot to unpack today. I'm disappointed, as I've just been saying, mate, but we'll get to that and all that stuff.
Yeah, kind of finished 1-1. It was a brilliant start for us for 25 minutes. We were really at it, energy, press, everything. Carving them open. The two new boys looked absolutely brilliant. So Bozoloi was at it. What a ball from McAllister out to Salah and the ball into Diaz, and the finish was it was a great finish as well, because it wasn't an easy finish coming across them like that as well. Sometimes they just slide wide and stuff like that.
Stamped at it really well, didn't he, mate?
He really put his boot through it to make sure it hit the back of the net. And then we were lucky with the second goal as well. It was just offside. And it's always weird when you look at VAR as well, Jack, where they measure the hand to the guy's foot, and it's so indifferent in the way they do stuff and all. But look, it was disallowed. They had a goal that they scored, really came from a bit of a mess from us. We cleared our lines kind of twice, but didn't do it enough, and then opened ourselves up, and they pinched that goal. And then we were lucky they had a goal disallowed as well, a beautiful goal, the Milder play that they did as well. The Chilwell goal, I think it was, that was disallowed. But Give me your overall thoughts. We've obviously ran through it on your channel as well, so we're probably overlapping on stuff here.
Oh, good, lad. Oh, good.
Yeah,
as long as
give us your overall thoughts. Salah, of course, not too happy, but sure.
Yeah, it's first goal in terms of, as you said, mate, a tremendous ball on the turn. McAllister, big up chat as well. It was much better than, as you said, mate, the 20 half an hour spell. We thought, sounds Liverpool, new look in Liverpool, really, but old habits die hard, really. It's almost a case in point, as we said on my show before, mate. It was almost a case we got, as soon as that half an hour went, it was back to what we were doing quite disappointingly, really, in terms of large sections of last year, mate. A tremendous goal. Salah, obviously, I think it was like 10 minutes prior to that opportunity. He had another great opportunity to slide that ball across the penalty area. But that very much, yes, it was a tremendous first assist for Salah of the season, really, and cut them open. But apart from that, really, mate, I would have liked to have seen Salah do a lot more, and hence why I think he was warranted of getting taken off, really, mate. The attitude stung for me. I know people might go, he's a winner, he's a leader and all that, but at the end of the day, you're doing that in the first game of the season. You've got to respect the manager's decision, regardless if you like it or not. But for me, that was a bit of sour grapes, really, in all honesty, mate. But
yeah, I did a show earlier this week prior to all the Caicedo stuff exploding and stuff like that, and I said I was very worried about Mo Salah and his future at Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, and I wonder was the Caicedo bid that went in was a reaction to some of the stuff that was coming out about Saudi and PSG and Mo Salah, and also Jurgen Klopp, and talking about he wouldn't see out his contract. If he wasn't back and he wasn't supported, he'd be out of here. And I wonder, did FSG go, we better do something here?
Needed to, really, mate. I mean, it's
big time. And it's kind of, it's been so frustrating because he's been kind of, dare I say, he's kind of been half-backed. And it's just never enough. There's always something. If we bring in this player, solve this problem, another player goes, or we need another player in, or another player is aged and gone on, and all that kind of stuff. And it seems to be that we're constantly just moving these chess pieces around, but we can't seem to get a formula on the pitch that's the 11 that we need in there for the formation that the gaffer wants to play. And he seems to be getting so short. Now, obviously, at times we come on to shows and stuff like that, and we question him in terms of his in-game tactics and his formations and stuff like that, and that he doesn't react quick enough.
Yeah.
to what's fairly evident to us watching it, which must be fairly evident to him watching it. And one of those things today was obviously Reece James and Raheem Sterling. I said on your show, the last time I seen Raheem Sterling playing that good was a decade ago.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable. And Reece James. And it's not only that, it's the fact that, like, even if going in you didn't realise they were the danger, because Raheem, by all accounts, has been very poor since he went to Chelsea. Massive drop-off and stuff like that. But today they really showed how they were at it, him and Reece James. And yet we still gave them the space. We still drifted in narrow. We still let them prepare spray balls out there. How many crossfield balls went out to Reece James today unchallenged and stuff like that? It's just shocking. Like
it's that press, as we done countless podcasts last season, mate, didn't we? And it was, I think, chat users all agree, like the intensity as well. Like, especially considering, said to you, the Fulham game started last season, picture perfect, really. Lack of press. I know. You can think, and if we did get Caicedo, I still think we'd still very much have similar issues, even if we did get a top class 6, because it was almost, a lot of them were half-arsed, really, in terms of could we go there, could we go there? And from a tactical point of view, mate, it was alarming, really, because how long have we had since the end of the season? Yet you do wonder, what have we been doing? And I mentioned it to you on my show, mate, the interview that Trent, it was very poignant that really he mentions, he was like, yeah, we'd planned for Chelsea's original formation to be whatever the setup. They trained all week and then more or less dropped Klopp in it in the post-match on Sky going, yeah, when he went to that formation and changed it, we really weren't, we were massively underprepared, really. And that was quite concerning, because you'd think they'd spend a whole week or 2 weeks pre-planning, even in pre-season, anticipating that it's the curtain raiser of the new campaign. But it was quite too much of a willingness for me, mate, this evening, really, to just roll over, have our bellies tickled. It got to like the 50th, 60th minute mark, and you've got Trent wasting time. It's like, and then picking up a yellow card. It's that sloppy mentality for me, mate. That's why Liverpool have missed out on quite a lot of league titles, really.
I think when I looked at Trent's interview, I got the feeling that I think originally maybe the plan was to invert them in the game. And I think when Klopp's in the formation, I think he turned around and he says, you're in the 2 and don't move out of the 2. Because Trent came across today very frustrated and very pissed off. And he seemed to be like, you remember the Trent last season with the shit body language and all, that didn't, prior to inverting him, when we inverted him, he was like a new player. Like, it was like we had released this new player in there. But when he's back there just playing that 2 and being told, like, you're at right back and that's what we want you to do. And today is very much about defending and all that kind of stuff. I think the concern really was if Mudryk came in there and stuff like that, he carved those boys up if he inverted. I honestly thought there was people calling during the match for Joe Gomez to be brought on and stuff like that. And I was there going, the minute we bring on Joe Gomez, they're going to bring on Mudryk straight away and he will make mince of Joe Gomez. And I just thought it was just a weird situation. And I just thought just the way everything just evolved, I just thought we were just, again, shades of last season, so slow to react to what's unfolding on the pitch. And it's like, I know a lot of people saying the chat about Klopp's stubbornness and all that kind of stuff and all that. Like, he puts out a plan and that's his plan, but you have to be thinking on your feet. You have to be able to change things around. You have to react to Reece James and Raheem Sterling. If they're turning you inside out, you have to cut that off straight away and stop that. And I think today we just failed in doing that. That was our biggest problem.
Yeah, I didn't mention it on my podcast, mate, but could Liverpool potentially in next week? I'd much rather, and we'll probably speak about Robbo tonight in terms of his role in the team currently. It's still up in the air, really. I'd like to see Liverpool go with all 3 centre-halves. As much as we'd not want to see Gomez, considering how poor he has been since he's come in the last 12 months, really. But I'd like to see Gomez playing centre-half and then just start playing with 3 centre-halves, and then we can push McAllister up and start pushing certain other players into their more natural positions for me, mate. Don't know how you feel on that.
Yeah, no, it's spot on. I mean, we spoke about it last season, and even when you talk about how long have we had since the end of the season, the issues that we've had on the pitch, we knew about these issues back in January. We knew about these issues back in February. We should have been planning our summer and our rebuild and what we wanted to do. I know we obviously weren't sure on who was going out the door. I mean, we knew at the end of the season probably Milner was going to move on. Firmino, Keita was obviously contracted out. Ox was contracted out, and there was a splatter and the guys going out on loan, all that kind of thing. But we had a fair idea with the drop off and stuff like that. And I just wonder if the 11 games at the end of the season, the kind of run we went on when we did change formation and do a few different things, I wonder if that overshadowed the task in hand. And then, of course, with Hendo exiting the building and Fabinho exiting the building, some would say a little bit shocked, some would say no. I think they came back off pre-season, they had a conversation with the gaffer and he laid it out to him. So I think, to be honest, I don't think this was a shock to Jurgen Klopp at all. I think Jurgen Klopp knew in the summer the conversations that needed to be had and that were coming up and stuff like that, and we had to plan for this. And I think, again, like what I said in pre-season as well, the other thing that you know, that kind of shined through today as well is that, like, I've been really upset somewhat at the preseason in terms of the level of quality of teams that we structured the preseason around.
Yeah.
I think playing 3 second division Bundesliga teams, first of all, having 5 games when you're in a rebuild, I think probably isn't enough. But then when you're having 5 games to have such a drop off in quality that you're up against, and then when you do go in against a Bayern Munich, the old things come back and haunt you again. The ball's over the top, down the channels, getting caught out, all these kind of things, not being on it, being asleep at the back for those balls on. We get exposed, you know.
Yeah, you're spot on there, mate. It's all about building that, like, consistent level of, like, performance, mate. I think we will take a good 5-6 weeks for us to get back into the swing of things, mate. And as we've all said, mate, like as I said to you on my show, it's 2 drop points, similar to you, mate. You said it is 2 drop points for all of us because they're the levels that we should be going up to. Like City, yes, we can compensate of what their qualities, but they are the pinpoint that you want to be aiming for their levels. And when you were saying there, mate, I was just thinking to myself, not every single week, but certain games where you're looking to I was looking for the dugout and was hoping that we changed it at 60th, 50th or something. There seems to be not a lot from the dugout. There's more amateur dramatics, really, in terms of Jurgen Klopp falling on the floor. There should be more technical understanding and proper coaching from the sideline of really, from a tactical sense of structure. Even if you have to call Trent over or certain 1 or 2 players to the halfway line and say, tell them where do we need to go in that. But for me, there needs to be a lot more, really. But you're spot on, mate, with that, because we've got Bournemouth. We probably will get lulled into a false sense of another 9-0 and then play another big team in a following couple of weeks and then get absolutely panned, really, mate. But yeah, it's really concerning for me, mate. Yeah,
and I think that game next week as well, I think for us in the position that we're in at the moment, because we're going through a rebuild and because we're putting a few pieces in there, and if we don't get people in this week and stuff like that and have a week to build to that game and all, that's going to be quite a difficult game. They're a physical side. You know, Dom Solanke, you've seen him in there, Billing and a couple of those boys in there. They like roughing it up. They like getting involved and stuff like that. And you've seen what they did to us last season as well. I know we beat them 9-0, but remember the other game and stuff like that. I think they bet us 1-0. Did Solanke? Billing scored the goal, didn't he? Billing scored the goal as well. So, like that, I think for us at the moment, there's no foregone conclusions for us at all. And the fact that should have been a home game and they switched it to the away game, didn't they? Because of the stand development isn't ready yet and stuff like that. But I think next week will pose much more challenges as well and stuff like that as well. I think today, we had a real opportunity with a very, very new Chelsea side that wouldn't have had. I know they had a decent pre-season, but coming in there, new manager, new ideas, you know, we have to talk about Enzo Fernandez. What a player he is. Worth every penny of that 100-odd million they paid. He absolutely bossed it and ran it today and stuff like that. He was just, bar that first 25 minutes, once that went, he took control of that game in the midfield. And again, as you said, we should see that and we should say, we need to grab hold of him. We need to grab hold of this. We need to starve him of any space, of any opportunity and stuff. But instead, we kind of backed off and we allowed him to have the space. Look at the possession. I mean, what was the possession in the end? 32, 68, 34, 66 or something like that. I mean, that's... Now, I know we were the away team and stuff like that, but we have to get better. How many balls today did we play that were hopeful balls through channels that we were trying to put them through an eye of a needle that we're never going to reach where we wanted them to reach and coughing up possession? And many times, instead of putting a ball up the line, did we just kick it out of play? You know, just stupid, wasteful, silly things, you know?
It's that nervousness for me, mate, and chat in terms of the proactive nature. We'll probably speak about it a second half, but when that ball was getting lobbed in the box, Van Dijk was clearing and all that, Like, fair enough. It's all right for us fans to panic if a player's got the ball on the edge of the box. But when you've got your experienced centre halves, and it's just so simple, mate. Like, I keep on banging out about City, but you watch them, and even Arsenal to an extent as well this weekend when they slapped them, whoever they played. It was a tremendous. Even Newcastle as well. Newcastle, the composure on the ball, and obviously McAllister done his best, but as I said, he was looking around and going, "Oh, I'm not playing as an 8 or a forward 10 or whatnot. I need to track back," and that very much stifled his game. We've spent 35 million on him, and we're not utilising him in the best possible opportunity. Disappointing, but yeah, it's a pivotal next week for me, mate, because I'll be extremely, I think all of us will, extremely disappointed if we go yet again another week without even bringing in another recognised out-and-out 6. Because it's just slowing the tempo, and as we said, mate, from a tactical sense as well, get them in. And even I'd rather have Stefan Baccetic coming in now at this moment in time when he's fully fit, so we just know where we've got a bit of structure in our team at the minute.
Yeah, you need guys in there who are in their natural position, who don't have to overthink things and double job and do all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, you have Van Dijk there and Konate. Konate today, I think, looked pretty nervous at times. But I'm not surprised. I think there was a nervous energy through the team. I think our preparation, obviously, has been a little bit derailed with all the shit that's going on off the pitch and stuff like that. There's no doubt about that. And I thought maybe he would have used that as motivation to pump the guys up and go, this game, this means more. Lads, if you're ever going to win a game, this is the game I want you to go out and put these feckers to the sword who have screwed us up off the pitch and stuff like that. And I thought that after 25 minutes, I thought, this is it. It's going to go. Salah's goal was disallowed. He also hit the bar, I think it was, or one of them hit the bar as well, or the post. And I was just thinking, you know what? We could actually put these to the sword and we feel so wonderful. And I was just thinking, I tweeted it earlier, this means more. We have to go and thump these guys, and we didn't. We fell short. And it's just symptomatic of what we see. We hear it in pre-season. Don't worry about it. The Bayern Munich game, it's only pre-season. Then it's only Chelsea away. Then it's only Bournemouth away. We've seen it with Fulham at Craven Cottage last season. Before you know it, you're 5 games into the season and you're 7 or 8 points off the lead. And all of a sudden, all your eggs are going into the Europa League. Thursday night football, Jack, it's going to be torturous for us.
Yeah, I'm hoping Nunes leads the line and that, mate. But he's spot on. I'm just thinking as well, I think we missed that nasty streak to us as well, mate. How many times today, like, I was going shouting, "Where's our captain?" Going, certain players are getting bullied on the pitch. It's like, that's where Endo would have bloody stared down Diego Costa as well a very long time ago. But that nasty bit of bite in midfield. I think even in attacking transitions as well, Fabinho done that so well. I think it was almost a case in point of the whole team, especially in that second half, we're all looking at each other going, go on, who's going to first put the tackle in? Like, it's about winning that first transition. If you can't win that, then... And Trent mentioned it, we are a counter-press team, but even still, if our attackers aren't on it, our midfield's off it, then we'll just get absolutely obliterated at the back, in all honesty, mate.
Yeah. Interesting. Our next game, Henry, isn't at Anfield. It's away because of the stand and stuff like that. But for the next game coming up, Jack, would you expect changes? Do you see any kick-off from that Salah situation? Or do you think the gaffer will just smooth it over? His comments after the game were interesting. And we go through them, of course.
Yeah, I'd drop him, mate. I said to you on my show, mate. I'd drop him. I know people might go, "Oh, it's a bit drastic. It's Salah," but we don't want to be put in a situation, and hence why where we do find ourselves as a football club. Pep's the master at it. Probably thrown in his managerial career. Look at Zlatan Ibrahimovic, how he dealt with him, just threw him out the door. Doesn't really take no nonsense, and obviously at City he can just buy whoever. But I think
looking on Friday night, Jack, at Burnley. Half time he was walking out, grabbed Haaland by the arm. Are you listening to me? Giving him absolute dog's abuse.
That's mentality for me, mate. And
the lad's scoring too. He goes in, scores too, and he's hounding them. I said it before about Pep's mentality. He won the Champions League, and while all the fireworks and all were going off, he was on the sideline going through formations with the technical guy. Still, at the end of the Champions League after winning it.
That's what I'd hope Liverpool are doing, but the last couple of years have very much pinpointed if we were good enough tactically, we wouldn't be finding ourselves 6th, 7th, bloody 4th, 5th, wherever we were last year and the other previous seasons, mate. They are small margins make a lot, as we know. And even, yes, people might go, it's a point at Chelsea, but I know me and you, Niall, and Kev, and the majority of the chat as well, we want to be selfish. We want to be greedy. It's not this case in point of, oh, we've got a point, happy days, and then go back on the train or flame. No, they should be happy. I know if we were in that dressing room, we'd all be fuming. Like that mentality of Carragher, Gerrard, and proper winners do that. None of this it really does my head in when Klopp and technical staff are smiling. And I didn't like all that huggy stuff at the end of the game. Like it's Chelsea, it's one of the most despicable teams in the Premier League as a whole football club anyway, and considering they're trying to get one of your best future targets as well.
Yeah, we've nearly been conditioned, Jack, isn't it, to just, nearly consider a point being a good result. Whereas in the past, we'd be livid. We'd be turning around and going, when is a point ever acceptable? At any stage when you have the standards up here, when we were winning the Champions League again and winning the Premier League and that heavy metal football and this means war and doubters to believers and all that kind of stuff, a point was never acceptable. It was always frowned upon, going, there's another opportunity missed and stuff like that. And just, when you have that mentality, here's his comments, Jack. Here's his comments after the game. I'll pop them up there for you. You can have a quick read. The first one is an interesting one where he kind of says, I'm okay with the reaction of Mo Salah, basically. I would expect him to react that way coming off. And then he said he didn't realise about the record, 6 first games in the 6 seasons.
That's nonsense to me, mate. Like
that's I said it on your show as well, didn't I? That it's absolutely crazy and stuff like that, Then he came out and he could understand Mo's reaction. He said, we needed stability and we needed fresh legs. It was super intense for everybody. That's all I can say about it. His reaction was absolutely okay. When I sub a player and he's jumping into my arms at 1-1 and he is a striker who thinks he will score, I would be really surprised that that's absolutely fine. Yeah, interesting. And then he said on the game itself, Jack, he added, the start was pretty convincing. We scored 2 wonderful goals. One was disallowed for an offside. This is kind of like... This is kind of similar to
clutching at straws. That makes that is.
Yeah, we didn't score 2 goals. We scored 1 goal. The other one was offside. We opened the door for Chelsea. Now it's interesting because I think when we look at last season as well, the post-match comments mimicked what we all thought about the game, and yet in game he didn't react to it. He says we opened the door for Chelsea. We lost the ball in moments where it was difficult to prepare for it. It wasn't difficult to prepare for. You just needed to change things. It gave the game a different direction, so we were not in control of the game. So we gave up control of the game, and we couldn't figure out how to get control of the game back again, which is something we should have. We did do in the past.
You'd think you'd be counterproductive on the touchline, wouldn't you, mate? You'd think that, as you said, you'd see the technical staff even if it takes 5-10 minutes, sounds you can bear a bit of pressure. But if we're all saying it at home, and even the away fans as well, like do something, Jürgen. Don't wait 40 minutes. It was almost begging for Chelsea to get that winner, in all honesty. And if they did, then it would have been like sounds.
No Wigs.
How are you, Wigs?
Thanks for coming in. Yeah, it's really weird because I look at his post-match comments sometimes, and he nearly calls himself out nearly as being a bad coach. You know what I mean? It's mad. He goes, the second half was more open and more chances for Chelsea, but we showed up. I don't think we showed up in the second half. It was really intense for both teams, and it's a point at Chelsea. So, it's that downing, reducing that level down again. It's a point at Chelsea, like we've achieved something. Like, were we going there to lose? You know what I mean? It's just...
It felt so like that, mate. It was,
Our defensive problems today had nothing to do with the characteristics of the midfield. No, it had to do with the fact that probably 4 players were playing out of their natural positions. They are a bit more offensive, but all of these boys can do what we want them to do. There is no one on that pitch that can play as a 6. So let's stop talking nonsense. We were too deep as a formation and gave the half spaces away. We were too deep as a formation. So what were you saying? What were you doing? You know what I mean? It's so frustrating when you read this. And then he says, Jack, it's really okay. It's really okay. No, it's not really okay. Today didn't decide where our season will go. We said that last year at Craven Cottage. But let's be positive. The team deserves so much faith, and I am really looking forward to the season. Absolutely. This conversation is not about the team. It's about his coaching.
If he comes out and says that 7 weeks into the season, Christ, if he's saying that in a press conference, mate, you wonder what he's actually saying in the changing room. in all honesty, mate, because I've said it for the last couple of weeks when I've done podcasts with you and the lads and spoke to chat. If he gets a 6 in and we're still getting absolutely battered in transitions and all that, I think all of us, hopefully, we're being positive. We're hoping it sorts the bloody defensive frailties. But if, say, we get Saicedo, whack 111 million on the lad, and we're still getting absolutely battered, and Trent's getting positional-wise stretched, and Robbo's getting stretched as well. For me, mate, the hammer should fall on Jurgen Klopp this season. Not say sacking him, but he needs to take a large brunt, especially when he's bringing in players left, right, and centre. There's no more excuses now for me, mate, in terms of come what the end of the season. If Liverpool miss out on top 4, that is you've certainly got to be looking at the manager in terms of he needs a hard, massive, long look at himself, mate, for me.
Yeah, this is not a 6-week thing or an 8-week transfer window. We've known the problems in this team since January, February, March.
Last 4 windows as well, mate.
And the last 4 or 5 windows where we didn't fix up. Wiggs is in. Jurgen knows what we need. It's just a case of going and getting it. Why haven't we backed out of Caicedo yet? It's just a waste of time. I'll tell you why we haven't backed out of Caicedo yet. Because what we want to do is we want to stay in there and force Brighton to make the decision. So we'll still come out of it looking reasonably okay. We didn't back out. Chelsea made a bigger offer and Brighton made the decision on us. If we back out of it now, we're going to look as bad as all this other bullshit about Tchouaméni, Jude Bellingham, all this other fob of PR that's going out there about it. Like that we didn't have the money or the money was too
Even
much.
John turning up today. And
yeah. But look at the Vardiol situation. We didn't go for Vardiol because everyone thought, he'd be over 100 million. I think City paid 76 for him or something like that. Yeah. Something like that, you know what I mean? So every single target that we've said all along, we backed out, it got ridiculous, the money. They've been bought for less money than we were quoting in this PR system. So it's absolute nonsense. So, Wiggs, that's why we haven't backed out, because we're going to look really weak if we back out. Really, really weak. Now, look, we're not going to look great either way, but at least you'll come out with dare I say, a smidge of credibility if you can, you know. Wiggs, go get Fofana, Lafayette. Absolutely, absolutely. And do you know something? I'm not upset with that at all. If we bring in 3 players that we need, if we bring in a Pavard and a Lavia and another one and whatever it is, I'm okay with that if we didn't get Caicedo. I would have loved to get Caicedo in because it sets up our midfield for a decade nearly, you know. But unfortunately, no.
But if we don't, mate, you can write off this certain. I know everyone go, oh, you're being over dramatic for me. And like, but at the end of the day, it's the writing was on the wall first game of last season, mate. But yeah, hopefully get sorted, mate. But that's probably me being too positive.
Yeah, Wiggs in. We need to scrap the 4-3-3. It's not even, you know something? I agree fully with you there, Wiggs. I don't even think it's a case of scrapping a formation. I think it's a case that if you put a formation out there,
you know how to play it.
What you want to do, let's just react to it. Let's change it. Let's move someone in. Let's go with a 3 at the back and put 5 in midfield. We were getting overrun in midfield. We didn't react. We left 3 guys in there to the slaughter against 5 guys. Sterling open, Reece James open, Chilwell open. They did us down the flanks while our 3 guys were narrow in midfield. And again, we didn't react to it. You know, and that's the real problem. Everyone knows the 4-3-3 has been found out. Yeah. But there's little variations of that you can do. We could have shut down those 2 boys today, no problem at all. And we didn't. And let's be honest, we just got, it's horrible to say, we got out-potched. We got out-potched today, which makes it feel even horrible. We get battered because of 3 in midfield. Absolutely. And it's a case of we just don't change it. We just stay with it, the same stupid stuff. And we sit back. I mean, it's so evident today that just our in-game coaching and our in-game management is horrible and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's just horrible. Not backing out gives us less time to act. We'll end up with more excuses saying the targets weren't available again. The targets are all available. We know the targets that are out there. John Henry has showed his backside to us now. We know he has the money. We know the money's there. There's no excuse. We don't need that much time. Wiggs, if you think about it, we could have 3 players in this door by Wednesday.
If it's done properly as well, easy, mate, yeah.
You know, if we want, it doesn't take, he can have a look at Harry Kane. Harry Kane got on a plane yesterday morning, went over and did a medical and was playing for Bayern Munich last night. Yeah. This doesn't take a long time if you've the right people and you're at it and you've identified your targets and you just go in there and you go, you want 40 million, you go to Southampton, you want 50 for Lavia, boom, there's your 50, get up here, do a medical, let's go, get them registered. This can all be done. It's not like we've known about this since January and February. This is 8 months now we're nearly into knowing what needed to be done. Seems like there was some negativity talk going on. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Let's get Jack in there to call the shots for Liverpool. Look, we're all singing off the same hymn sheet. We all want the same thing. We all want to be positive. We want to see them playing well. We understand if you bring the players in, if it's a whole new midfield, they're going to need time. They're going to have games sometimes where there's a slight drop off. We can allow for that. But when you're going into a game after having all this time and clearly having the money to do what needs to be done, and we don't do it, and we fall short, and we're crowbarring players into unnatural positions, we're causing a nervousness within the back line that it's not protected with not having a proper DM. You have McAllister trying to play as a 6, but sometimes in a game forgetting and drifting back into an 8 and sometimes into a 10. You've Trent, who's just absolutely pissed off, was told he's a right back today, and that's it. There's no doubt about it. And you can see, you've Robbo playing out of position, frustrated, making runs. Diaz looks like he has an allergy to him nearly at this stage. So much stuff there that's kind of wrong there as well. And yeah, people will say, right, we'll take the point. It's a point at Stamford Bridge. But as I said, even Jack, on your thing, and you said it as well, we're now 2 points behind Man City with a game in. And frustrating.
And that 2 points can very much turn into 20, 30, as we know, with City as well. But of course, we'll try and be as positive as possibly can. But I think we'll go straight at it. I was screaming, I tell you, we'll get straight into it. Penalty for me. I know Kev on our show said it wasn't. But the one thing I'll try, not that I want to protect the referee, but the fact that VAR didn't at least send him over to the monitor to have a check, because the referee might not have the angle by the looks of it, or potentially as well. But for me, that was fair. Like, it was a penalty for me. I don't know how you feel, mate. But...
Yeah, for me, it's an absolute stonewall penalty, and I'll give you the 3. First of all, they spoke about proximity. They weren't in that much of proximity of each other. The ball came in fast. That's what happens when a ball is whipped in. But they weren't on top of each other. Then, if that's a natural position for a hand, to be in, I don't think so. And then the other thing is, the block that he got on his hand, the ball was actually going in, and he diverted it wide. So on the basis of those 3 points, to me, that is a penalty. We will see that next week and the week after and the week after being given at grounds. There's no doubt about it. Jack, what's your thoughts on this whole? Sorry, go ahead there.
I was just going to say, that's a similar position from last season. Didn't Reece James get sent off for handball on the line? It's legit that same hand movement. He was on the line and he cleared it, like with his arm. I swear it was, but
he was just slightly out, but the ball was going in till he handled it. The ball was on target. So, like, he stopped the goal-scoring opportunity. The arm is not in a natural position. And the proximity of the players, if you go back and look at it again, they weren't actually that close to each other.
Good 5-10 yards away, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was at least 3 or 4 anyway. So, I mean, he wasn't on top of them, What you're thinking, Jack, on all these new rules and the yellow cards and the added time and all that? It's just, to me, it's the problem with the officiating at the moment and the VAR and all that kind of thing. They get an idea in their head, and they go all the way one way, or they go all the way the other way. And then you'll find about 4 or 5 weeks into the season, when it's done its damage, when players are getting sent off because they didn't take a throw in quick enough and all, they'll realise you're actually spoiling this, and there will be a thing put out going, no, we need to change this, we need to up it, back off it a little bit. But at that stage, for a lot of teams, the damage is done. You've seen the frustration with Trent today getting booked. McAllister, I never like to see players calling for a card. I hate to see that, honestly. And I'd be, if I was Jurgen or the coaches there today, I'd be pulling him one side going, please don't do that again. That's a really bad look, and you shouldn't be doing it. It's not what we're about. You were getting your free kick. The player was probably going to get carded anyway, and then he obviously got distracted and carded our player. But I just think with the VAR and what they've done now, with the added time, I think I calculated today, and if you're averaging 15 minutes a game, you're talking about nearly an extra 8 to 9 games a season. If you take in all the games that you play, that's what they're going to have. These players are going to have to put into their legs. It's crazy.
Yeah, the as Wiggs said, we'll probably get to that in a little second. Wiggs spot on point there, mate. In terms of the first half stoppage time will probably be 10-15 minutes, but when it comes down to the crux of it, mate, and especially games that are televised, advertisers pay multi-millions to get their adverts at the end of a show or whatnot. It's like looking at ITV or whatnot. If you run over, there's a lot of people losing potentially their jobs. So even 5 minutes today, mate, was an absolute farce. There should have been at least 10, 15 minutes added on for that second half period, mate. So there's going to be a lot of conjecture, really. And the fact that they're not that consistent at the second half, I'll tell you what now, Chad, if you didn't notice it, check if you watch on the telly, there's a massive differential difference in terms of the second half at the time to obviously the first half. But 100% agree with you, mate. There'll be a lot of rule changes anyway. But I'm all for just giving the referees more power. If the referee just keeps his card to his chest, any player comes to the vicinity of him, just start giving out yellow cards, even if that's Liverpool players or anyone for the matter. The referees need to start getting a lot more control. I'm not a massive fan of rugby, but I do watch a couple of games here and there throughout the years. But the respect is on a completely different level. But I'm hoping that would one day come to the Premier League. But I think it's a bit of everything, really, from the player side and the referee side. Need to see a bit more consistency. That would help.
Yeah, that would be key. I think I seen it today. The weird one for me today was the Jota one. Because Enzo jumped up and threw his head into his face and stuff like that. And I know Jota pushed him away and stuff like that, but it was just the fact that the ref went in and he carded both of them. You know what I mean? And obviously Enzo was inciting the thing and stuff like that. Jota was literally standing there, Enzo up in his face and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I just thought, we've seen it in the past when that happens. Typically, that's what they'll do, is they'll card both of them. But imagine a situation where you've Jota taking a throw-in 5 minutes before that and gets carded for a throw-in, a delayed throw-in, then suddenly gets embroiled in that and boom, you're looking at a red. You know what I mean? And it's just, we're going to see so many, if they follow that to the ladder of the law over the next, 9 months or whatever the season is, you're going to see so many players now getting sent off. It's going to be absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be absolute bloody murder, mate.
And you also see it as well. Like, I mean, what way is it going to go for the evening kickoffs? Let's say if you're on a Monday night 8 o'clock kickoff and you're not finishing up till 10:30 and public transport and people are trying to get home and all that kind of thing. It just messes everything up. I think in the World Cup we kind of enjoyed it because it was cool and it was different, but it wasn't ridiculous. Like, I think if in the game earlier today, was it the Brentford Spurs game? The first half finished, I think, with 15 minutes.
15 minutes, yeah.
15 minutes in the first half. And I was thinking, what the hell? Like, you know what I mean? How are they accumulating this and all? It's crazy. Wigs, they also need to change the kickoff time. Spurs game finished at 4:05. Yeah, and this is the problem. And the problem is...
It's almost like you haven't thought about it.
Yeah, it was like, and I wonder, as you said, I wonder what the broadcasting people think about it. There was no time for post-match analysis for Spurs and Brentford. I'd be fuming if that was our game. I don't know. Sometimes, Wigs, I'd be quite happy not to have any analysis.
Quickly get these post-matches.
Just look at last season. Panos in. I can understand the added time being added on because sometimes you have a 90-minute game and only 60 are actually played on the pitch. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen it. Yeah. What was the glaring one last year? Was it Newcastle versus Arsenal? And it was 55 minutes of playing time. It was absolutely ridiculous. I think that was the game that actually triggered them looking at it. He says Liverpool played great in the first half. Isn't good enough. Chelsea were there for the taking team. People has to improve massively for Newcastle away in 2 weeks. We have to massively improve for Bournemouth this week. Don't worry about
bloody our defence would be having kittens. Like that Isaac, he's on. Well, when we played him, his first game against Liverpool, and he's literally, you got 2 disallowed goals, and you're like, oh, bloody hell, should have scored. But we will get cut open even if we play like that against Chelsea today. I'm going to tell you that.
Absolutely, it's crazy. Well, look, all we can do is hope that players come in, and hope that we get it resolved. I hate going in on I hate starting like this because this is if we have to go through 9 months of this narrative, it's so difficult, and it's so difficult already knowing we have to cover on Thursday night football against all sorts of nonsense and stuff like that and all, and put in that shift and stuff like that. I'm glad, look, we have football. I love watching Liverpool play, but it's so difficult, Let us know. Give us your final thoughts before we pop off, and of course, let people know what the story is on the channel. You're absolutely flying at the moment as well.
Yeah, big up, matey. Yeah, it was, and that's the thing now. All of us, everyone doing the content, you want to be positive. But we're all not going to sit there for an hour, really, are we? And then kid ourselves because we know chat. It's like, and you know me, mate, and I try my best to be as positive as possible. But I'm not going to be as overly positive, mate, but yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. I'm obviously Anfield Road TV on all socials. We'll be getting now. I'm hoping he can become a regular. I know he's got his channel and all that, but he's always welcome, matey. On all socials. Hit that subscribe button down below, Reds. Let's get now to 5k very soon. I know that will happen very soon, matey. But yeah, in terms of going into the next game, mate, hopefully just getting back to doing what we've been doing well. But echo your words, spot on, mate, in terms of just getting those signings in. Hopefully it's not a case in point where we find ourselves last couple of days at the end of the window and go, oh, we haven't still got a number 6 or another centre half. Go out there, boys. John, spend your cards. Well, try to spend your cards. And hopefully it doesn't get bounced.
I don't think you get away with not spending now. They showed themselves. They know they have the money now.
Yeah.
So the one positive thing I said the other night that comes out of this whole Cashado mess is we know we actually have money. You can't lie to us. We ain't broke and stuff like that. Daz is in. Jack, you going to the game on Saturday? I doubt it very much. Jack is making the trip to Bournemouth. I would doubt that.
That will be a long one, especially if it walked or sort of, mate.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's. I think people. I'm not sure, Daz. Are you assuming that it's a home game? It's not. It's away because of the stand development. Our first 3 games, I think, are away, isn't it? Because then we're away to Newcastle, aren't we? And then I think we have Villa. We have Villa on the horizon as well. We've 6 tough games to start as well. Like, you know what I mean? And you look at Villa yesterday. John W. Hazers in. John W. Henry isn't spending football. He can't back out of this now. He can't pull a Chouameni. He can't hide the war chest. He can't back off into the rabbit's burrow anymore or the hare or whatever it is. We know the money's there. It has to be spent because if he doesn't spend it,
just go to Real. Go to Real Madrid and go. Do you want Mbappe? Right, here's 100 million for Chouameni and then sod off.
I don't think he can afford to not spend, and I think we're going to need to get in at least 2 to 3 more players, and I think it'll probably happen. My fear is we lose our gaffer. Imagine
we are screwed for. There are probably 2 managers, probably another show for another night, mate. Post Klopp as well, but 2 managers my main one is the Brentford manager, Thomas Frank. I absolutely love him. The personality, but from a tactical sense as well. I think he massively overachieves with what he's got at his disposal, really. And obviously, De Zerbi at Brighton, his attitude is absolutely top class. It's elite. The way he's handled all these questions about Caicedo, he said, he's gone, he's dead to me, really. And he's he's more or less gone. But yeah, it's exciting, mate. But yeah, we are in a tricky predicament, but just try our best. But at the end of the day, Klopp's got to take responsibility, those coaching staff as well. Because those questions will get asked this season. If Liverpool have another 12 months as we did last season, there's only certain amounts of stick any manager can take.
More allocation in the matchbox than Bournemouth.
There is weeks.
Tell you, it's not an easy place to go. Klopp should have walked out of the Southampton game. I tell you, it was probably on his mind in weeks. If we had to get a manager, it would be the ex-Bayern manager. Can't remember his name. Nagelsmann, is it? Nagelsmann, I think he's talking about.
Nagelsmann, yeah.
Nagelsmann, yeah.
And hopefully, our mate Xabi Alonso, he looks showing a bit of promise. But I just wanted to stay by Leverkusen and if he. But I think Real Madrid might pinch him if he does continue developing as he is, mate.
Possibly, yeah, absolutely. I don't want to be even thinking like that. It was my fear all summer that if we didn't fix up and do what we should do, my fear, and I think I was on your channel a few times, I said we could end up losing the players we don't want to lose, and we could even end up needing a manager. And that was my fear. And I think this is John Henry hasn't flown over here this week for nothing. I think, Nagelsmann, Defo Wiggs, I think he's come over. I think we have to get things. I think things are going to be fixed up. I think there's a big week for Liverpool this week. And if it isn't, what the hell is he flying over to look at a Chelsea game? Is he just trying to puff his chest out to Bowley or something like that?
Yeah, it might be just doing a bit of casual shopping as millionaires do in London, don't you, mate? So you never know. Might have his eye on us like a special vase or something.
I think he probably gets better value at home for the dollar than he does coming over for the pound. I doubt that's the case. But listen, brilliant to having you on. Thanks for jumping on. Really appreciate you. Sometimes these reactions sometimes tend to be quite lonely and aggressive if I'm on my own.
No, mate, as I said, always send out the
Brilliant.
Razor. Appreciate you jumping on whenever, mate. But chat, enjoy your weekends. Try and enjoy the rest of your weekends. And big up, matey. Big up, Niall and chat. Look after yourself. It's always a pleasure to jump on, mate. All good.
Cheers, folks. Thanks a million. Everyone in the chat, thanks for joining us again tonight. Cheers. You'll never walk alone.